now to discuss a change in supply and its effect on the money market and ultimately interest rates. So question is, who controls the money supply? Well, as we saw in our last, several videos ago, really it is the Federal Reserve controls the interest rate. Controls the money supply. Okay, through that multiple deposit creation process and the money multiplier. First we saw that the Federal Reserve can affect the monetary base. That results in multiple deposit creation. Money multiplier kicks in, and we see that the quantity of money in circulation increases exponentially from what the monetary base increased. But let's just think about this for a second. So we've got, because it's really quite easy to think about. We've got a money market at equilibrium. Okay. Now the Federal Reserve had three tools that it could use to manipulate the money supply. Remember, a change in the discount rate. Okay. Change in the required reserve ratio. And an open market operation conducted by the Federal Open Market Committee, the FOMC. Having said, let's just stick with the latter, because that's the primary tool. As I stated before, it's a primary tool the Fed uses to change the money supply, the quantity of money in circulation. So let's just focus on that one. Okay, so an open market operation can be done in two ways. You can have an open market purchase of bonds, and you can have an open market sale of bonds. Okay, if the Fed conducts an open market purchase of bonds from banks, that means they purchase bonds that banks already have, and they increase the bank's excess reserves. This puts money into the system. And once the multiplier process, the money multiplier process is done, once multiple deposit creation is finished, we would see an increase in the money supply. Okay? And this is how the Federal Reserve can drive interest rates down. So let's assume the economy is stagnant. Okay, growth in the economy is stagnant, or the economy is contracting. Okay. In either of those two cases, the Federal Reserve may want to increase the money supply by performing an open market purchase of government bonds. Okay, this will increase liquidity in the economy, lower interest rates, get people borrowing money, get people consuming again, get businesses expanding again, and this should generate positive economic growth. Now, let's say the economy is overheating. Okay, let's say that we've experienced rapid growth over the last several quarters, and this is pushing up price levels. So inflation is heating up, which is not a good thing because it erodes the purchasing power of everyone's paycheck. Okay, so let's assume now that the Federal Reserve wants to rein in some of that GDP growth. Okay. In order to do that, they would conduct an open market sale of government bonds. When they sell bonds to banks, banks use their excess reserves to buy bonds, and the Fed takes those excess reserves and just sits on them. Okay? Now, this pulls liquidity out of the system. This pulls cash out of the system, and you reverse the entire multiplier process. You get a fall in the money supply. This pushes interest rates up. Okay? Now, higher interest rates means less borrowing, means less consumption, means economic activity is going to slow down, and increases in the price level are going to slow down as well. In other words, the economy won't overheat. So this is how the Federal Reserve can use monetary policy to manipulate the money market, pushing interest rates on the bank side out at your local bank, up or down as they choose, and that feeds over into economic activity.